Hey, what's up, guys? So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the accessories we have for the motorcycle tank vise. So I've kind of been going off a series here with the motorcycle stuff. Now I'm just going to talk about some of the little intricate little parts that come with the motorcycle tank vise when you do purchase it. So some of the first things, obviously we've got a lot of mounting different options and stuff like that, and that's going to be kind of difficult to go over without having an actual example. But some of the things I wanted to highlight here is some of the devices that are kind of out of the box or like kind of off the wall almost. Like when I first saw them, I was like, what the heck is going on here? So hey there. This thing right here, this is actually a tool that, or an accessory that you actually put in the gas lid opening that allows you to get leverage off of, but also lock your tool into the opening of the fuel filler. So that probably doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You're like, what the heck? You just stick a tool down in the opening or whatever. Well, no, not quite, not really, because if you were to just work a tool in through the gas filler opening, for instance, or some variation of any opening, you run the risk of actually bending or potentially damaging the edge. So what this piece here does is this actually goes in the fuel opening. And then, now again, it's going to depend on the bike. So every bike's different. I don't have an example here to actually exactly show you. So like Harleys, this would, certain types of Harleys, it would not work. But the old school, like Japanese bikes where it's just a hole and it's just, that's it. There's just a big, like what, 2-inch hole or whatever the heck it is, 1.5 inches. You could actually drop this insert in and it sits on the, this basically goes down in, and then this little copper ball drops in and allows you to actually lock in your tool. So you can stick a tool, I don't actually have one right here with me, but you can stick the tool into the pivoting hole here and then lock it in with an Allen key. So what that allows you to do then is to stick the tool in there and you can lock it in and then work off the area. So if you're not familiar with actually working on tanks, one of the hardest things on them is your tool slipping or some type of, because you need a lot of force, especially on the Harley tanks. I know I talk a lot about Harleys, but that's kind of one of the most common bikes that we're typically working on. Strictly because they typically have some type of factory customized paint, or like, like done a lot of CVO, Harley Davidsons as well. Anyways, so this would allow you to lock your tool in to a certain area. And on the Harleys, like I said, you have to apply a lot of pressure, and this won't necessarily work in every case, but it's very easy for you to get a tool on there and be putting so much pressure on and then have it slip. Okay, so if you can imagine putting an extensive amount of force to push a dent out, and again, it's not something that's going to pop out or anything like that. It's a very, very detailed process as far as working the damage out. So say you're putting a whole bunch of pressure on to get a already really thick metal to move, and then your tool tip slips, you run the risk of basically putting in the industry, we kind of like to call it like a snail trail or just a high ridge, I guess. So basically you'll create a outwards line in the damaged area. I'm trying to think, I don't think I've ever had that happen on a bike. If it was very minimal and able to be saved. But I mean, I would imagine that if you were doing it improperly and didn't have all the correct tools, you could definitely mess some stuff up, trust me. So some of the other things, like this was a pretty good example as far as something really extreme. You're probably going, what the heck is going on here? So on the older style motorcycles, they've actually got what looks like 2 little C channels on the front part of the tank that actually go into a rubber grommet. So what this is actually simulating here, now obviously this is a specific type of bike and these are adjustable. You actually are simulating both of the grommets. So think of you looking at the fuel tank from the front, and you've got basically the notch out for the frame. So basically it comes out and around, and then you got the fuel tank that goes up over around it, around the, I think it's called like the backbone, I think is what it's called. These types of tools or these types of accessories allow you to lock in the tank. And again, these are all adjustable. So you can actually, it's literally just a big Allen bolt that screws out of these, but they've got nice protective covers on them. So, it's nothing super huge and extreme, but I mean, obviously to make something like this would be a lot of work. So that's one thing that's really nice with the tank vise. It just comes with all these types of mounting accessories. Again, it's really difficult to kind of go over these and chat about them without actually having a tank here in the shop. But I mean, for the most part, it'll give you kind of a general idea as far as what's all needed to do most of these. You know, I know like even one of the last tanks I did, I had to go down to the local hardware store and just buy chunks of, I think this is called Ready Rod, I think is what the name of it is. But basically just studs essentially, just to mount some specific tank. So it's like, even though you've got everything that the motorcycle tank vise has, that doesn't necessarily mean you're able to be able to mount every single option. You're going to sometimes have to just think out of the box, you know, work with something a little bit different. As far as mounting tanks and stuff like that, you know, like the Harleys, for the most part, all of them that I've worked on, they basically just have two flat fins sticking off the front edge. So then that kind of, what we end up doing there is actually installing a stud on the threaded, basically, no, not threaded, the system here. And actually, so as you can see, a stud, and it's got this little kind of washer looking thing, whatnot in there. So what that allows us to do is actually slide it into these slits on here, and you can actually turn these studs in and lock them in. The reason being why we can do that is because they're actually keyed with an Allen head. So I could actually physically put these in here and then take an Allen key and lock these in. Let me just get one built up real quick. So again, this is kind of like a little bit specialized for Harleys, I guess you could say. This is the type of system I would use for them. So you'd have the tank sitting on here, and you'd have both of these tabs sticking out that you'd actually be able to get into the front tabs on the gas tank. And then you actually install basically these big fat spacers, and you've got them in all different sizes. Obviously, you know, these are some of the bigger ones. Obviously, you can go down to even something like a washer. So as far as those, I mean, there's multiple different sizes. So what you do is go ahead and get one side of the tank on, and then you actually have to, so you get one side, so this side over here with the tank on, and then you'd actually slide this threaded washer looking device in there and get it lined up with the tank installed, and then run this washer in, because obviously you're not going to be able to split them open to spread around these. And then what you do from there is, when you're in the process of installing this kind of stuff, you know, you can insert and install whatever type of spacer or anything that you need, and then just simply lock it down with, one thing that was also really pretty cool about this is they actually give you these nice plastic washers. So obviously motorcycle tanks are obviously painted and everything like that. The brackets are all nice and painted typically. You don't want to damage anything like that. So they give you actually these nice plastic washers that you can stick in between the nut and not cause any type of damage when you're spinning this nut on there, because these will stay in place and not, hopefully not pivot, but in order to lock it down. So yeah, so like I said, it's kind of difficult to really get into depth without actually having a tank here. The next time I do have a motorcycle tank come in, I will be doing one of these videos and actually kind of explaining and demonstrating it. And I believe I actually have in the past. But if you guys want to check that out, just feel free to go on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. The videos are somewhere on one of the platforms. And they're kind of all over the place. So anyway, so I hope that kind of helped clear up some of this as far as the accessories. What I actually went out ahead and did is I purchased these little plastic trays. A lot of guys use them for like fishing tackle and stuff like that. So I picked these actually up on Walmart actually. Just went to Walmart and picked these up. And you can actually store all of the necessary hardware and stuff. I will sleep now, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I've got all the different types of studs, all the different, you know, I've got different lengths of these. Some of these little specialty brackets that actually hook. So the metal or the aluminum that this motorcycle stand vise is made out of is called 80/20. So what these little devices are able to be used for is actually taking the spare pieces that they give you and locking them in to another piece. So So like if I wanted to, now it's kind of funny because I'm trying to do something. But like I could add another piece and make this wider, you know, just as a simple. So a lot of people have a lot of questions when they get these tank vices, and it's totally understandable because it is a little confusing. You got to be very what's the term? Like, think out of the box. Like, you have to really, you know, if you're not familiar with doing gas tanks, you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve, to be honest with you, on doing a lot of this stuff, because it's a lot of tinkering. You know, think of, I'm sure on some of the, I'm trying to think if one of the podcasts said it, I think it was Tool Time, which has Daniel Grom, which is the guy that made all this stuff. He even kind of says, if I remember right, something about like calling it kind of an erector set, like where you're just having to build stuff and just kind of come up with something, you know. So it's not like there's a real, you know, like you have to mount this exact way. Like, well, there's a lot of different ways to mount a lot of things, as far as tanks and fenders. So hopefully that kind of clears up anything as far as questions on it. Again, next time I have a tank in here, I will do a demonstration as far as mounting it and everything that's involved with that. But appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video here. If you got any questions for me, leave them down in the comments, or give us a call or text us at 605-250-1023. Or check out our website at SiouxFallsDentRepair.com. Appreciate you guys' time. And if you got any questions or anything about anything I showed here, again, go ahead and call, text, or leave it down in the comments. So appreciate you guys' time. Take care. Have a good night.